All right. So, as you all know, I love cryptocurrency. I love this market. I love the people in it. But there's one thing that needs to stop. There's one thing that irritates the hell out of me. And I wanted to talk about it and break it down in this video, give you my 2 cents, and how much better this space would be if we could cut this out of it all. Now, let's dive in here because, listen, there's no doubt that crypto is very, very early, and you're going to run through some hurdles, right, with any new technology. But this is something that if people could just set their differences aside and look for the better version of this, which is let's be all in this together because we only make up 5% versus the maximalist attitudes. We've got to get rid of it. Now, I'm going to jump into this article in a second, but let's call it what it is. There are a ton of Bitcoin maximalists out there, and I've ran into them. I've spoke with them. It's like politics with them. It's like you can't tell them anything that goes against their tribe or against their policies. But in the end, there's over 20,000 different cryptocurrencies, and to say that Bitcoin is the end all be all, the only answer, it's irrational. And it's just not true. There are other protocols that bring a lot to the table. I'm not saying Bitcoin is bad here. Bitcoin has a lot going for it. But to say that there aren't other cryptocurrencies that fill in some gaps here would be absolutely ridiculous. Other people are starting to believe this as well. Big people in the space are saying it. And just maybe, the Bitcoin maximalist identity is a dying breed. And if that were true, that would be really good for all of cryptocurrency. I talked about it with David Gokhshtein recently on the channel about this maximalist and tribalistic attitudes and how we need to get it out of crypto. The fighting between communities, it's ridiculous. We're all here for a common goal because we saw something in blockchain technology. We saw something in virtual assets or digital assets that tells us it's the future. Let's rally behind that. Let's be maximalists about crypto. Let's be maximalists about blockchain. Let's be maximalists about being smart enough to be in this space now before it really pops off. That's how we're going to grow this space. That's how we're going to reach our hand across the aisle and pull people in that are in that 95%. You know how we're not going to do it? By terrible rhetoric that turns people off. So let's jump in here because this article actually adds a nice little layer to this. Bitcoin dev, Maxis should explain why BTC is great instead of attacking altcoins. 100% agree. On Monday, Matt Corallo, an open source engineer at Spiral, which is an independent Bitcoin-focused entity within the block ecosystem of companies, he criticized those Bitcoin maximalists who are more focused on attacking other projects than with explaining why Bitcoin is great and unique. This is another point. You're wasting time. You could be spending that time and energy telling people the great stories about Bitcoin. Instead, you're telling others why other companies and other protocols aren't as good as Bitcoin. It's a waste. It's a waste, and it needs to end. He says Bitcoin maxis are a dying breed, though. While there was a time where everything except Bitcoin was basically a scam, that hasn't been true for a long time. And the smart money has moved on to figuring out which projects are going somewhere and which are straight pump and dumps. There are a ton of good projects. Ethereum, Solana, BNB, Crow, Polygon, Gala, Avalanche. The list goes on and on and on and on. We've got to get out of this mentality. We've got to get out of this mentality. Focus on why Bitcoin is unique. Talk about the difference of approach and conservatism and the focus on why Bitcoin is the only real candidate as a truly neutral currency for the internet. Point out how funding models change neutrality, but don't call that a scam because it's not. So this has to end. And you know what? It's not just with Bitcoin maximalists. I see it in the community token space as well. There are some very, very cultish communities. It's not good in politics. It's not good in any industry. When you become so brainwashed that you won't even listen to the other side, it's not healthy. It's not good. I can see the good in a lot of different projects. Bitcoin is different than Ethereum. Those two are different than Cardano, which is different than Solana. I own all 4 of those. I own all of them. The list goes on. Diversify your portfolio, folks. Don't fall into the maximalistic trap that certain communities have pockets of people in. Don't fall into the trap. Keep it moving. Diversify your portfolio. Keep an open mind. Keep learning. There are a lot of good projects out there. Thank you so much for popping in. I'll see you all in the next one. Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel too. See ya.